Welcome back, my delinquents. We have caught another VTuber case, and today it's about entitled VTubers, or streamers, I guess. Be cut either way here. This starts off with a rant from a VTuber that seems to have gone all over Twitter, and almost every single VTuber, or at least it feels like, has put in their 2 cents about this, so we're gonna go over it. But the gist of it is a little bit about how big streamers use toxic positivity. I'm gonna use air quotes then, even though you can't see my fingers. It's complaining about the fact that big VTubers say you should be happy with small numbers, don't feel too bad, having 5 viewers or 10 viewers, you should still be proud. And this person rants about how they're actually being toxic, and how they're not taking consideration that people do it for a job, etc. And we're gonna go over the story. That's the beginning of the gist, but we get a lot of back and forwards this, and it turned into a huge debate on Twitter, which I find interesting. So we're gonna talk about it, because I wanna yap. But let's get into it. So this saga starts here with this VTuber's post. I'm not going to say their name just in case I decide to blur it, because I'm not 100% sure if I want to include their name in the video, because I don't want someone to be bullied, but it seems to be a good equal back and forwards of agreement and disagreement, so I feel like there's a good balance here. But if anything gets out of hand, I'll blur the name, but let's talk about it. VTubers and streamers, I know it is meant to be encouraging, but I keep seeing posts reminding people that 5 viewers is a lot. It's a full room, and they usually come from much bigger streamers. But 5 people aren't going to pay rent for me. This is where it gets a bit yikes for a lot of people. 5 people won't give me money for groceries. The encouragement is nice, but I feel like it comes from a place of ignorance or even arrogance. For people trying to survive in today's economy, knowing 5 people is a full room isn't going to make a difference. We might feel good, but how much will that actually reflect on our lives? Just a reminder, sometimes these encouraging posts read more as toxic positivity than useful advice. And as you can imagine, they got a bit of backlash here, because it does come off a little bit arrogant or ungrateful here. I will outline some of my points before reading a lot of others, because Alaria, a lot of VTubers had their 2 cents into this, and I will highlight this, because I think they all had some really good points in here. But I feel like the thing that's in here is that it's toxic positivity. It's not saying that 5 viewers are going to change your life. It's they look on the positives of growth, because a big thing that gets in people's heads is the toxicity of growth. So that's why a lot of streamers and VTubers try and be positive about it, because it can be soul crushing when you think about actually how much you need to be successful in this field. And just because a post isn't for you doesn't make it toxic, which I think is a good point to outline here, that if that positivity doesn't relate to you, that post might not be for you. And not every post of like, be thankful you at least got 5, 10, 20 viewers because you grew, you did a great job, people enjoy you, etc. It isn't meant automatically as advice, it's just supposed to be keeping your mindset positive. But let's get into this, because they do make a reply about this. Even I talk about this, and I say this because they are a disabled person too, and so am I, and I have experience with this and the different ways to make an income, because when I was going through school, I went to university, I had to make a decision to pick a job from one of the practical jobs I want, or jobs I can most likely do, and that's why I settled on freelance and my art degree, because I may have leaned towards teaching or something else if I wasn't disabled, because it's more practical. But I decided to go for something that I was passionate about, but was also more likely I could continuously do. But that might apply here and go into others. I feel like if streaming doesn't pay, it can't be your income source. And I just want to underline here, as in, you can stream, you can make a little extra money, you can love it. It doesn't mean it's your main income source. It shouldn't be, unless you're like making a substantial amount. But even for me, Twitch streaming is one of my least income sources. I really enjoy it, I really love it, but it's the least money I make. And that is most people's experience with Twitch, and you should be aware of it, because even though if you want to do the things you love, if you want to do them, you have to find ways to make it happen. And there are ways around this. I ran an online store and did freelance work before mostly focusing on YouTube and Twitch. I actually stopped my online store so I could give streaming more of a go, then turned into YouTube and all this other stuff. And now I'm also even thinking of reopening my store, seeing I just did a merch launch that's going out this month. I still enjoy the work. Now, I'm also disabled, but there is more out there than just streaming as an online income. Yes, there is lots of way to freelance. There's lots of way to substitute income. That's why a lot of VTubers are graphic designers, artists, or VAs or stuff. I know plenty of people. Like, I know someone who does VA work on a sidekick to help with money. It actually pays more than that. People want Patreons, YouTube channels, fansies, requests, commissions. People do online IT, coding. There's a lot of things people do to substitute income. I say this as a partner streamer for 2 years. Twitch is still my lowest income. Having multiple incomes is the only way to do things we love to do. And I just want to add there, I know multiple that run Etsy stores too, especially digital download stores. And Popple here, who's also a lovely VTuber, talks about the fact that I think it's because it's aimed at general hobbyists, which is true. Streaming is more of a hobby for a lot of people, and probably most of the time should stay that way until you've done it for a very long time, because a lot of people grind for years. I know some people that worked on their YouTube channel for 5 to 10 years before they made any kind of profit. And so most people can't wait that long to make money. On a side note, I don't know if you do, but you can do ASMR, it bolsters your income. And yes, I would say diversifying your source and your content can really bolster income, because realistically, a lot of time with content creation, if you want specifically to make income only in that, you have to do a bunch of crap, and then slowly it comes together as something that can feed yourself and keep you from being homeless. As funny as that sounds, but freelance work works like that too. In general, you do a lot of odd jobs and odd things until you make an income. And here's Teresa Misu. I mean this respectfully, but streaming isn't meant to be a full-time job for everyone, and that's okay. You can't rely on people to pay your bills. If streaming is something you want to do full-time at some point, then you need to work on content outside of streaming. But until that time comes, you need a job outside of streaming until you can financially support yourself from that, and only that, or having multiple streams of income. This is a common thing people go over. Some people agree with what they're doing is toxic positivity. I won't just highlight the ones disagreeing with her, but I feel like these bring good points up. It makes you sound very privileged and arrogant to say you essentially aren't grateful for 5 consistent viewers. It's surely a start and more than some people get. So regardless, you should be grateful for them. You're allowed to feel a need to improve and want more. That's not the issue with what you said. It's more you saying you aren't grateful for what you have, and that makes you arrogant. Yes, I wanted to outline this point, and people, you're free to laugh at me with that's more than people get, but a lot of people don't know this about me. I actually started as an art streamer, and literally, I did not get affiliate until like 8 months into streaming. I did not break over 6 views until a year. So you can have a laugh at me, because most people do it a lot quicker. But as an art streamer, it was a grind, and I do love that time. I learnt so much, and it really gave me some basic skills that I don't use as much anymore, that's for sure. It was a good time for me, and that is the thing. A lot of people don't get the opportunities others get. Even having 5 or 10 is a lot compared to some people. Get a job outside of streaming is massively ignorant of their personal circumstance. That is also useless advice. It isn't. As a disabled person, and anyone that is disabled, or at least people I feel that are disabled and don't have family to rely on, I have 0 family to rely on financially, other than my very aged grandparents. And that's just as if I went broke, I could go live with them. That's about it. But the fact is, even disabled people need to make incomes. And through history, we have to get creative by taking part-time jobs, side hustles, freelance work as we do now, work from homes, creating things, doing things that we can do. Because one of the hardest things as a disabled person is to find the little things you can do in your day-to-day life to make your life a bit easier. Because no one wants to just give up and go, we're disabled, we'll never, have more than $50 spare each week. We spend our lives kind of learning the loopholes in our diseases and trying to make something work and accepting what we can and can't do. So I would say that's not useless advice, because I've met other disabled people who want streaming to be their only source of income, or people who don't want to work sometimes, but I'm going to focus on the disabled people. And they think it's a cure-all to them being disabled, but streaming is a lot of work, realistically. Well, a lot of energy, which a lot of times disabled people, like myself included, have a limitation of it. I wouldn't even say it's the ideal job, because you have to keep a schedule, you have to stream X amount of hours, and it can be overwhelming. Someone whose disability affects them physically. I honestly would suggest freelance work or something like that better, or running a store, just because you can move your hours around and there's less of physical activity, so you can be a bit more on it, in my experience, because work has bigger deadlines compared to streaming, where you kind of have to be on it every single day. But that's my experience with it, and I think it's always good to outline you need multiple sources of income to be safe. Even if you made a lot of money through streaming, I would suggest the same thing of at least having savings, investments, or multiple sources of income, because if you get banned on Twitch, you are less screwed. And I think that's what a lot of people with a low viewer amount don't understand, that no matter what, these jobs are not consistent and not safe. And even if you do pop off and do well, you need to do these other things, because it's never going to be a safe job. It's never going to be guaranteed. You're never going to 100% have this income. And usually you can only do it for X amount of time. But enough of the rant on the money prospect. Let's go back to the drama of it all. Some people agree with this person's point of view. A lot of people don't. And then, you know, some people talk about toxic positivity isn't helpful, blah, blah, blah. But I am on the main mindset that if it doesn't apply to you, it might not be for you. And just because a VTuber is trying to be positive sometimes doesn't mean they're not giving any advice. Because keeping your head on straight and not getting bogged down in the mental anguish of not doing well is pressed, etc., is worth a lot. Because a lot of people in these jobs burn the frick out so quickly because they put so much pressure on being successful quick, or making money, and not looking at what they do have, that they leave or it crushes them. And that is a thing, especially in any kind of work, I feel, is to stay positive realistically, because there's nothing that will burn your life up and make things worse than just having your soul crushed. But let's go into some replies from some other VTubers of what they thought of this situation. Actually, before we do that, I'll go into their reply here, because they kind of, as you can see, double down a lot here. And then they say that everyone read it incorrectly and that it's a skill reading or something, which I think they didn't like that. A lot of people said they sounded rude. Not gonna comment on that. You can make your own decision if they sounded rude or not, I think. But they stand by what they say, pretty much. Whoa, this popped up more than I thought it would, and people still have the worst reading comprehension I've seen to date. See, there it is. Don't you know, guys? You're stupid. Okay, sorry, I should make that joke. I don't regret posting this and stand by what I've been saying. Empty platitudes will help no one. Being positive can help people, guys. I feel so much better in my life staying mostly positive. Wallowing in self-pity and sadness just makes you sadder most of the time. That is why a lot of VTubers are there in general. To make people happier, not sadder. That's part of the job, realistically, hopefully. It's not unhelpful to everyone, it's just unhelpful to you. 5 people is a lot, yes, but it's not enough to make a career out of. And not everyone reading is trying to make a career out of it. Yeah, some people only stream as a hobby, but there's still many more that do it to make a career. That's fine. It just doesn't apply to you. You're telling us that we shouldn't, and or that it's a saturated, it doesn't change the fact that it's how things are. Also, don't want to be cowed for mentioning money in this economy. There's nothing wrong with mentioning money. There's another thing going that your VTubing has to make you an income, and that people are disrespectful to you or toxic because they don't take into consideration your specific situation. So many people are struggling to survive in a non-box creation jobs? Okay, guys, please tell me what that is. Ooh, is that like a office job? Is that what they mean? Office job? Where it shouldn't be looked at as greedy or distant for wanting to survive in a country or system that tries to put us down. You shouldn't. But guys, it's luck-based. Money is luck-based, especially in streaming. We are responsible for trying to make our incomes and improve them through work, effort, whatever else it takes. Other people can't improve our lives for us. And yeah, it's fine mentioning that I had to work hard. Like, a lot of my stream guys know that I had to focus on YouTube a lot of the time, so I can reinvest in streaming. I do love streaming, but I'm just a one-man show, you know? So I'm honest with my stream going, I need to make sure YouTube videos go out on my channels, because that's where the money goes to pay rent or whatever. And because I run multiple YouTube channels, but I do make some money on Twitch. But I can't stream as much as I would like because I have multiple obligations: merch launch, store, YouTube, and Twitch streaming. And they're aware of that, and they back me up because they're like, you have to feed yourself and you can't rely on us on income. And I'm like, you right, girl, I know. And they are very supportive of me doing other sides of jobs to make that happen. And I think that's a mindset a lot of people have to do, is you may love streaming, but surviving has to come first. And no one else is responsible for your survival. And also, my motto is always take money from the companies before your fans. That's also why they're like, well, watch your videos. And I'm like, high five, because we'd rather wring the money out of the AdSense than rely on donations of people who might not be in a better situation than me at all. So, just saying this to everyone, thank you for watching. You helped me eat today. Love you guys. And thanks for commenting, liking, subscribing, whatever you want to do there. Thanks, guys. Let's continue. Late-stage capitalism and nonsense. Again, the money was never the main issue in the first place, though. It was a secondary statement. I'll repeat myself. Telling people empty platitudes is toxic positivity. If you want to help people positively, give good, clear, and lasting advice. If you can't grasp it, then I hope you will in the future. Being positive and clear, lasting advice don't have to exist separately. Not everyone has the advice to give because they may not know how. Like, some people got lucky. Some people had people who knew better. Some people put in the grind. They may know, but not every VTuber knows all the tricks and tabs to give advice. But they know being negative doesn't help. It won't help you succeed. It will just slowly chip away at you mentally. So, I don't think being positive has to automatically be toxic positivity because they don't appreciate it. Some people really do appreciate the positivity of the situation. Not everything has to be for everyone, in my opinion on this. I feel like this is just a bit of a way to punch up. Damn those very successful big VTubers telling me to be positive about my situation. They're just toxic. It's like, I don't know, it just feels like very odd of a mindset to have. I can understand how it doesn't really help you in the long run or grow or make it your career, but that's not why the statement is there. That not everything has to be deeply relatable. But let's go into some of the replies of what other streamers said, shall we? Okay, let's go into a Necopon. Just because you're disabled doesn't mean you're entitled to more viewers or anyone's money. Expecting people to sort you because you're disabled in streaming has to be your job as delusional and self-entitled. Including that, there's a lot of disabled people out there, and people have their own problems. This was a very good reply that they took very well, the person. They took it very well. From Karma Indio. I don't think it's toxic positivity as it is helpful to most people. Agree. So in that regard, it is genuine positive reframing of the mind. I feel as though because your situation is a bit more unique, I see it as toxic because at the end of the day, it doesn't help you. And it becomes because it doesn't offer any real solution to your situation and probably to others in the same situation as you being disabled. I do want to offer my sincerest apology for the situation you are in. I know it's not easy depending on such an unstable platform to provide income for you. So I wanted to offer some ideas that might actually help you versus being positive. Because in this, I'm the same way. I hate when people try to make me be positive because I've heard the nice stuff a million times already and it still isn't helping. I think it's best when you are in any creative field such as streaming or content creation, your best bet is to have multiple forms of income. This is repeated a lot and it's always good advice. So if you waste mine, you like to write lore for DJ, I suggest monetizing this in other platforms such as Ko-fi, VGen for lore, etc. Or Patreon. I started Patreon with only 400 followers on Twitter, even with only 5 people joined at first. I was making close to an extra $100 a month. Show behind the scenes, making content. Patreons can be really helpful as creators or someone doing any kind of creative projects. I highly recommend stacking things like I mentioned, do your content on Twitch, then separating it on Patreon. Exactly. Reusing content, stacking content, and using the skills you have are always important. No matter who you are, if you have a skill, utilize it if you can utilize it in that way. That is a way to really improve your situation. They say here that they are thanking them, but also say they may have misinterpreted and stuff like that. But they appreciate the recommendations. And I think that is what the situation is a bit more, is a mindset problem. That they are in the wrong mindset for this and they may be getting a bit down about their situation here. And especially as a disabled person, you may be thinking you're at a disadvantage because of it. Personally, I take it as an advantage because I would never have tried this job if I wasn't disabled. And I think I've experienced a lot in life because of that. So I'm quite happy, and you know, you gotta be thankful for the little things in there. But there's lots of points of you can look at something, especially with positivity, negativity, advice, and not everything is one size fits all. And Olivia kind of doesn't like connect to her story, but I feel like this really points out a good idea here because it kind of refers to a similar topic. Before I became a full-time content creator, I was working a 40-hour job in part-time VTubing like most everyone else. I know a crap ton of people who do it like this, and I'm always like, Impressive. I could start streaming at 5:30. People would show up. It really got me through some of the days I felt down. I completely agree with this. Honestly, it keeps me going when I was like first getting over my anxiety with streaming, when I knew certain people were going to show up or miss me if I wasn't there. And I'll be like, no, I might be like anxious, but I'm going to go because they are expecting me to be there, and then I'll be happy. It's like once I start talking to my homies. And sometimes it be like that. I am always thankful for the fact that I am no longer an anxious Nelly thanks to my stream. Thank you. But yeah, sometimes it do be like that, and reminding yourself that people care about you and your content can be one of the most inspiring things. It's why I keep going every day. The smile and education I get to bring to people's lives make it worth it. Yes, exactly. Staying positive in any job is important. And I feel like this really outlines it. 5, 10, 100, 1,000, or whatever, you made an impact on someone. You should be proud of that. Yes. Be proud of the work, because if you get bogged down with I'm not there yet, you'll always be unhappy, because realistically, getting there with streaming is a long road, which I am outlining in the VTuber documentary we're filming. If you're a VTuber and you want to give it an interview, you will not automatically be in here, but I'll be doing a lot of interviews. Please send an email to me below or contact me on Twitter. We have a few people lined up that applied in June, but we will be making a 3-part series on VTubers. Just plugging that in there because I need more interviews. But yeah, guys, and I think they don't realize how much it actually takes to get to that holy grail of full time. It is a lot of work, and it's a lot higher numbers than you think. And that brings us to the end of the video, and I know it was a bit long of a rant going over this, but this is blowing up everywhere, and I would like if everyone says their opinion on this down below, like, subscribe, all that fun stuff. But also, there was some people agreeing with her that it's toxic, it doesn't help, it sets their mood badly, etc. And I can see from that side that it, especially if you're in a downtrodden place, they may not seem helpful to you. But not all the time I find that advice is automatically the cure to this too either, because I've been asked for advice a lot of the times in VTubing, and sometimes it just makes people more depressed because there is not always a clear answer of what to do. If we all could make such a clear direction on how to be a successful content creator, we would all be doing it. But sometimes it's just trial, error, work hard, and try not to cry. like sometimes it just, that's all it is. But I'll catch you next time, my delinquents. Hope you found this story interesting, and bye-bye.